Hello, and welcome to this podcast where I would like to invite you to join me on a pilgrimage along the Holy Axis ley line. But first of all, let's summarize where we are so far. In my last podcast, I spoke about how the two worlds of myth and magic are intertwined with the material world in which we live. And the more I enter the world of myth and magic, and the more I embrace what's happening inside of me, the more the material world aligns with it, and some absolutely incredible things start to happen. So after writing the podcast Myth and Magic and documenting my journey, my life started to take on an absolutely magical adventure that I hope that you will enjoy sharing with me today. The synchronicities, the amazement, the phenomena that occurred. Well, who else would I want to share it with? Who else would understand? And let's face it, it's knowledge that only the elite really understand. So I'm putting me and you in the category of being the elite, because not many people do give credence to the fact that the internal world, that world of mystery, is available to us all inside, does actually interact with the material world. And I know now, the more I work with it, it absolutely does. So let's start with the ley lines and what I learned at the seminar that I attended with Gary Bilcliffe and Caroline Hall. So ley lines are invisible lines of energy beneath our feet that have been explored and tracked, demystified and resurrected for us all at this time. And many believe it to be a link to the consciousness of Mother Earth and our heritage. As early as 4000 BC, the Neolithic people built a series of straight paths connecting sacred sites. Now, many of these features are now no longer visible from the land, but what is visible from the air are straight causeways believed to have been formed by Roman roads. Great estates like the Badminton Estate Gardens in Gloucestershire align avenues and grow trees in straight lines, very similar to these ley lines, that lead to distant churches and burial grounds. It was believed that all these straight roads and tracks led to churches and burial grounds, and the word ley came from the Sanskrit word lile, which means to shine. More recently, a man called Watkins wrote the book The Old Straight Track and formed a club to begin ley hunting. People would dowse and record where ley lines were found, and an in-depth record was created. All the ley lines appeared to go through springs, boulders, hilltops, churches, castles, and crosses. Archaeological digs also found that the lines were evident in the soil, most lines being approximately 4 to 6 inches trenches of light-coloured clay buried below the reddish-brown iron oxide pebbles. Commercial airlines have also discovered them over the high desert plains or tabletops. And in shamanism, the ley mystery lines were and are used for the power to transport the mind through astral travel, crossing the environment to distant events, something like remote viewing. And I believe remote viewing was used with great success during the World War II. And so, this is all linking to the ley lines and our ability to move consciousness. It was assumed that these straight paths were paths of consciousness, a journey to find the most suitable place to bury the dead. That's why they used them. They astral travelled, and they understood that placed in the right place, the ascension of the soul would be able to enter into the higher realms. So they made it important to know where to bury people once they have gone, to help with the ascension process, which I find quite interesting. And of course, that there is where they made these churches and these sacred grounds, because of the energy from the earth would help elevate the soul into the higher realms. It was also the shaman's direct link to the spirit world, where they could access wisdom and knowledge for the welfare of their people. Now, many individuals and groups have also seen lights and UFO phenomena on these paths, these straight paths. Some reporting straight lines that actually extend upwards into the sky, and they suggest that they are being used by crafts to travel the worlds. It has been suggested that these are natural electromagnetic lines of energy that attract luminous objects and aid their navigation. Going back to the seminar in Shap, where Gary spoke about the Holy Axis ley line that he and Caroline charted, he mentioned that they were linked to a person called Sir Walter Scott, and that was a ley line of a heritage of the Scots. Now, at this point, my ears prick up. What? Oh, what? Hang on a minute there. A link to the ancestral lineage of Scott. My maiden name was Scott. Oh, okay, I have to check this out. So the Holy Axis ley lines start in Lindisfarne and travel across the neck of the UK through Bamborough Castle, many moors, Rosslyn Chapel, and continuing on and ending at the Isle of Iona. Now, I'd read about Rosslyn Chapel in the Da Vinci Code and all the sacred symbols and all the energy that's supposed to be there, and I'd always wanted to go there but never been. So, of course, now my excitement is starting to gather momentum. And Gary, who wrote the book The Holy Axis, mentions that there is a masculine and feminine ley line, sometimes they're called dragon lines, where these two ley lines cross. A node is detected, which is a union of the masculine and the feminine energy, and these nodes are very powerful healing portals which our ancestors knew about and often used them as hospitals and healing spas. They would also put standing stones around of them, and that's why a lot of standing stones, these great circles, were created where you have Neolithic rocks as standing stones. So the excited explorer within me now decides, oh my gosh, I want to go on one of these pilgrimage and travel along that holy axis. And really, I just want to know, can it help me connect more with my ancestors? I don't really know a great deal about my ancestors. Obviously, my previous generations, 2 generations back, but after that I'd not really researched them. But Sir Walter Scott, who is he? Is he in my ancestral lineage? Can these ley lines actually help me connect to my lineage? Can they take me into being able to harness the energy of my ancestors that I know is in my DNA, and will it help me in any way? So of course this is something that I'm really excited about. So I wanted to go and see if I could learn more. So while reading Gary's book, it spoke to me in a dream, because I was reading it in bed and I'd placed it next to me on my bookcase by the side of my bed. And during a dream, it said to me that I needed to go to the energy node at Bamborough Castle. And it would help me manage time better, that when I go there, I'm going to feel the energy, and the energy will bring my energy back into an ability to be able to manage time better. So now I really have to go, as I know that both Mark and I have a thing about time. Well, Mark more than me. Okay. Yeah, I have a thing about time. I never have enough of it. But yeah. So let's go and see. So using the book as the guide, my husband and I decide to visit Bamborough Castle, and after a 4-hour journey, the excitement within me is almost dissolved. I'm like, oh my God, when are we getting there? But when I did see the majestic, grand castle standing before me, oh my God, I was beyond delighted. Standing proudly atop a hill overlooking the countryside and the sea, it felt prestigious. It felt regal and very, very grand. I got goosebumps all over me. Was that the energy of the land, or just me reacting to such a grand castle? I wasn't actually sure. So as we entered the grounds of the castle, there was a mural along the wall commemorating the battles that had been fought and won at the castle. And of course they depicted King Arthur Lancelot and, of course, his famous Excalibur sword that seems to have been following me around since Glastonbury 2 years ago. This sword seems to be a signpost for me. It was now appearing absolutely everywhere. I thought it was absolutely incredible that this building had been there for 3,000 years, towering over the Northumberland coastline. The writings posted about the grounds on its history stated that the walls of the castle had witnessed countless rebellions, bloody battles, spellbinding legends, and millionaire benefactors. It was also said to be haunted by ghosts that loved Bamborough so much that they didn't want to leave. Already I was intrigued and almost waiting for the extraordinary to occur. The book mentions the seat, or should I say the throne, of King Arthur, that it is where there is a node of the two ley lines that cross, and a very, very powerful energy spot to sit on. So of course that's where I want to go straight away. I'm entering into the castle and just searching for this outdoor stone to see if I can connect to my ancestors and just see what happens when I sit on this stone seat. So we wandered around the castle, and I could definitely feel the vibrant energy of the land coming through my feet and into my being. It was like a surge of gentle warmth that tingled my neurological system and enhanced my awareness. My energy levels and focus were sharp and alert, and considering the early morning and the long journey we had just undertaken, that alone was a definite bonus. Maybe a sign that the land was, in fact, emitting a higher vibrancy of energy. I noticed that the information offered by the trust, who now look after the castle, was mainly about wars, battles, etc. And I couldn't help but wonder if the struggle of life was somehow revered in them days, almost like a trophy for killing and overcoming adversity. Quite a brutal way to live. Anyway, I finally find the stone chair in the gardens, the throne of King Arthur, which proudly looks out across the land to Lindisfarne. Now, the view was absolutely spectacular, and I couldn't wait to sit in the chair. As I sat in the chair, I seriously did not want to move. Oh my goodness, the mellow energy that was rising into the base chakra and bringing a feeling that was so calming, revitalizing and refreshing, a total opposite to what you imagine the energy of the battles and wars would have left behind. But there you go. I'm sitting on this chair and just really drinking in the energy that was being emitted where the two energy lines cross. Now, even if you're a disbeliever, if you get to sit in this chair, you will be a believer, because it's incredible. Not knowing how I could help the energy of the land, because as I'm sitting there drinking all the energy in, I also thought, well, can I do anything to enhance this energy? Not that it needed any enhancing. It was like a waterfall of energy that was just oozing into my energy field. And obviously it's been there for a long, long time. And, King Arthur and the ancients and the ancestors obviously knew about it, and that's where they built the seat for King Arthur. And as I sat there meditating, just asking silently, can I be in service of any way? Can I help in any way? A white dragon came to me, and although there were no actual words, this is what I interpreted from the connection. It said, the castle speaks of wars. It reminds us how over the many centuries humans have been controlled by fearful thoughts and reacted from fear. Pain and pleasure are within the same vibratory spectrum, yin and yang, dark and light. Administering pain and having that kind of control over others can bring a distorted pleasure to some and wield power over others. The light and the dark can evoke extremes. The warriors in this time period that you live in the 21st century now, are spiritual warriors, helping return the balance of equality and freeing the controlled mind. You and many others are taking power back by breaking away from these fearful mindsets to live in a gentler, more peaceful manner. You are a peaceful warrior and lead by example rather than leading through aggressive control. As you can see, it appears to have taken thousands of years to get to this point where the energy is starting to balance back out. But in the grand scheme of things, this is not such a long time. Now, here in the 21st century, is the time for change, to regain the power of the mind, to remember the truth that the universe wants the best for you, that Mother Earth wants the best for you, and then you can really relax into a more secure, nurtured way of being. Adopting this mindset will ensure you feel safe and relax and enjoy life. It will help you release fear and live harmoniously on Earth, which is a naturally emitting vibration of harmony, peace, and love. If humans can relax deep enough into this experience and connect to this frequency, then this vibration will become the order of the day. As I sat in the chair, my heart felt full, and I hoped that I could achieve this vibration within me. Not just for me, but for all my ancestors, to say thank you for what they must have endured, and to ensure that peace is restored on this beautiful planet. After all, that is what they were aiming to do during these wars, but meant about it in a misguided way. I also sent out a thought that I would like to get to know my ancestors better, to understand more about who I am and feel more connected to them, and let them know in some way that I am here doing this in their namesake and for the namesake of all the future generations that are to come. Oh, it was just such a wonderful experience. But what I didn't know at that time, as I sat in the chair, that what was about to happen over the next few months was mind-blowing. Things really do start to become more interesting as the etheric world merges with the material world, and my psychic abilities started to soar. I finally stood up from the throne after hogging the chair for probably around about 30 minutes and also getting a little bit cold. And I felt incredible. I remembered why I was here. I fell in love with my heart. I understood things better, and I felt more inspired to move forward. And whilst I was sitting in the chair, I actually lost time, or should I say the awareness of time, because I was so absorbed in what I was receiving, feeling, and learning. So I asked Mark if he wanted to sit on the throne, and as he's not really into the stuff that I'm into, he saw how peaceful I looked sitting there, and he said, "Oh, go on then." So he got on the throne and just felt as much of the peace and the stillness that I did. I could see him relaxing and smiling, and little did he know that his journey forward was about to change dramatically too. He was also heading into a healing journey of the heart. Mine was a spiritual adventure into the past. His was a healing of his physical heart. And both of us have since then had more stories to share with you. So continuing with this particular part of the story, we then return to the hotel where we have a random conversation with a waitress who directs us to a bookshop that is visited by people from all over the UK. It is an old railway station that's been converted into a quirky bookshop with tea rooms, a model railway running around the ceiling, and quite a place of interest to see. So after that, we enter the bookshop, go along, and I mentally ask as I'm entering into the bookshop to be directed to a book that might be able to help me. And I asked, which book should I choose? As walking round, looking at everything, taking the ambience of the place in, I see a sign on the wall, and it said, "Be the writer of your own book." And I knew deep down inside of me that I had to continue writing the book that I had started, and that this was to be included in it. and that my story had only just begun, because I do feel that, well, I did feel at that point that my life was going to change massively, and it truly did. My goodness, myth and magic started to make its way into my life, and things really took off. We each have our own book of life based on the choices that we make and the adventures that we seek. I truly can't wait to share with you the incredible happenings at Rosslyn Chapel in my next podcast. We saw sacred symbols, unveiled ancestral links, cut deep wisdom, even had a conversation with an alien. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. So, until then, I hope you've enjoyed sharing my story of going to Bamborough Castle, and maybe I've inspired you on some level to go. Maybe go and treat yourself to Gary and Caroline's book, and have a look at the ley lines and see if you too can feel the energy of the land, because it's a natural phenomena and it really, really is quite incredible. Healing for both Mark and I. Mine was a healing into the past. Mark's is a healing to make sure he has a wonderful future. Okay, well, take care of yourselves, and I look forward to communicating with you again and sharing the story of Rosslyn Chapel. Take care.